I recently read Cixin Liu's Three-Body Problem series, and there is an aspect of this dark forest deterrence that is more horrifying than the books make explicitly clear. The universe is being destroyed by disgruntled mid-level functionaries. From book one, we know Yuan-Ji, astrophysicist and misanthrope. She sends a message out to the stars, and 8 years later, a reply arrives. Being a politically unreliable cog in semi-exile at an observatory in BFC, she has no real prospects for advancement, so 8 years later, she is still in the same job and in a position to reply to this message. The message reads, "Do not answer. Do not answer. Do not answer. I am a pacifist in this world. It is the luck of your civilization that I am the first to receive your message. I am warning you, do not answer, do not answer, do not answer. There are tens of millions of stars in your direction. As long as you do not answer, this world will not be able to ascertain the source of your transmission. But if you do answer, the source will be located right away. Your planet will be invaded, your world will be conquered. Do not answer, do not answer, do not answer." But thanks to Chairman Mao's Workers' Paradise, Yuan-Ji is bitter and hates everyone, so she calls him right back. But who's on the other end of this conversation? Meet the listener. It was inaccurate to say that the receipt of the extra Trisolaran message had no influence on his life. After confirmation, Trisolaris would surely reduce the number of listening posts, and posts like this one, behind the times, would be among the first to be cut. Then he would be unemployed. A listener's skills were very specialized, consisting only of some routine operations and maintenance. It would be very difficult to find another job. And if he couldn't find another job within 5,000 Trisolaran hours, he would be forcibly dehydrated and then burnt. We're seeing an exchange between a couple of desk jockeys mired in the skullduggery of their everyday tasks. Yuan-Ji is lashing out at the system that killed her dad and keeps cutting down all the trees, and the listener is just trying to save his job. The second book introduces us to the concept of the dark forest. The universe is a dark forest. Every civilization is an armed hunter stalking through the trees like a ghost, gently pushing aside branches that block the path and trying to tread without sound. Even breathing is done with care. The hunter has to be careful because everywhere in the forest are stealthy hunters like him. If he finds other life, another hunter, an angel or a demon, a delicate infant or a tottering old man, a fairy or a demigod, there's only one thing he can do. Open fire and eliminate them. In this forest, hell is other people, an eternal threat that any life that exposes its own existence will be swiftly wiped out. That is the picture of cosmic civilization. It's the explanation for the Fermi paradox. It's here where I begin to feel the first little tinglings of that cosmic terror that this series is famous for. Because the forest isn't full of hunters. It's full of bureaucrats. Singer activated the process for the Big Eye. He rarely did this. He was exceeding his authority. "What are you doing?" asked the Seed's elder. "The Big Eye is busy." "I'd like to take a closer look at one of the low-entropy worlds." "Your job doesn't require close-up examinations." "I'm just curious." "The Big Eye has to observe more important targets. There's no time for your curiosity. Go back to doing your job." Yeah, that'd be great. He needed to use a dual-vector foil. However, Singer didn't have the authority to retrieve a dual-vector foil out of the magazine. He had to ask the Elder for approval. "I need a dual-vector foil for cleansing." "Permission granted," said the Elder. What this dual-vector foil does is collapse space down from 3 to 2 dimensions. And once it starts, it can't be stopped. It just keeps going until the entire universe is collapsed down to 2 dimensions. And these critters are using the damn things all the bloody time. It's worth noting that in this series, the universe began with 10 spatial dimensions as suggested by string theory, and countless eons of advanced civilizations whacking each other with these dimensional collapsing foils has brought it down to 3 and now well on the way to 2. And it's also noteworthy that it's not mad emperors or nihilistic death cults that are doing this. It's each world's cadre of administrative footmen that are just doing their jobs. The books tell us, perhaps too subtly, that there's a flaw in the dark forest model. Humanity broadcasts this location without any fear, and even after generations of conflict with the Trisolarans, humanity continues to try and hope for peaceful coexistence. That the Trisolarans exploit this to break down the Deterrence is beside the point. What is at issue here is that we have one example now of a civilization that didn't fall into the hide and then destroy anybody else you find premise that is put forward in the game theory model of the Dark Forest. We also don't know how the Trisolarans would have responded if their overriding concern wasn't to get away from their trash planet and come take ours. But the fact that Listener broadcasts an intelligible response shows us that communication is possible between civilizations at interstellar distances, undermining one of the pillars of the Dark Forest, and two, that the Trisolarans aren't completely infused with the pathological fear of other civilizations that apparently Singer's people are. So we have to ask ourselves, are we the oddity with our short collective memory and our continuing hope for a better future? Or are Singer's people and their genocidal fear the exception rather than the rule? We don't know. Maybe the Dark Forest is populated by people very much like us, but a few assholes ruin it for everybody. What all this suggests, at least to me, is that the universe would be a much better place if all intelligent beings just tried to follow two basic maxims. First, question orders, question the underlying assumptions of your society, question the current thing. And two, don't be the asshole.